Hiya, this is the second lesson where we've been talking about digital literacy. So this week we're going to be thinking specifically about staying safe online. So last week we focused on how to get to grips with your devices and how to make sure that they are safe. Now we're assuming you know that, you've got that, you're all set up and you're using your device to get online, and what we need to do to protect ourselves and what we need to think about really. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you a series of video clips, but I'm also going to direct you to some to look at yourself. And what I want you to do is to try and summarize the information that you see in the videos. So the first thing that I'm going to do is, for the first video, I'm going to give you questions that you need to think about and you need to find the answers for. So you need to be listening out for those answers. And then we're going to move on to, again, a directed video where I'm talking to you about what I want you to pick out. But then I'm going to ask you to pick one of your own, and you're going to feed back to me somehow, however you want, using digital media or pen and paper if you'd rather, but what you have learned from watching that video. So you're going to choose one to feed back to me in whatever format you like. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to watch a video about staying safe online. And I want you to think about, for this one, what is malware? How would you define it? What damage can it do? How would you remove it if you've got an issue with malware? Then secondly, similar questions. What is phishing? What do people want when they're phishing? And how can you prevent it? Then the last thing I want you to think about is 3 pieces of advice to someone who's just set up a social media account. So we're looking at what is malware? What damage can it do? How do you get rid of it? What is phishing? What do they want? How can you prevent it? And advice for people setting up a social media account. So in your exercise book, please, while you're watching the video, if you make notes, that would be great.
We all live with computers, but getting the most out of them, getting them to do what you need, can be kind of difficult. But if you can understand how they process things, a computer can be the most useful housemate you'll ever have. The world can be a scary and dangerous place sometimes. Same goes for the internet. The web is an amazing resource, but there are people out there who use it for all the wrong reasons. So you need to make sure you know how to stay in control. When they're working well, computers are reliable helpers, there to make life easier. But we also have to be careful. When we connect to the internet, we are connecting with millions of other computers and the people who use them. So there are a few things to watch out for, like malware, for instance. Malware is malicious software that can infect your computer if you visit unsafe websites or open email attachments from senders you don't know. Malware can steal personal information stored on your computer, like your bank details, or damage the data on your hard drive. If your computer gets infected with malware, you need to use special antivirus software to get rid of it. And it's a good idea to install it anyway, as it stops malware infecting your computer in the first place. Thank you. Another danger you need to look out for is called phishing. This is when you get an email pretending to be from someone you know or from an organisation you trust.
Delete.
Often they will offer you money or ask for your passwords, but the real purpose is to get you to send either your bank details or passwords so that they can steal your money. You can often spot phishing emails because of spelling or grammar mistakes. When you get emails, use your common sense. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Social media are great for sharing photos and having fun. But remember to be careful. Once you put your pictures up on the World Wide Web, it's virtually impossible to get them back. So don't put anything online unless you're willing for the whole world to see it.
No, don't show them!
The web is a great place for people who are careful.
No!
So keep an eye out for suspicious emails and websites.
Oh,
and use an antivirus software to protect your computer. online safety. Being smart is being safe.
The second task I want you to do, again, it's another video. I want you to think about digital footprints. So the first thing, obviously, is you need to define what do we mean by digital footprints. Again, please make notes in your exercise book. What is your digital footprint? And then I want you to list the ways that you have learned from watching this video that your digital footprint could potentially cause you problems in your future. Okay, so what is digital footprint and how could it cause you problems in your future? And I'd like to see some notes. And again, you can take a photograph of those notes. That would be great.
You know how the things we post online can follow us around and affect us in real life? Well, we call the stuff that people see when they look us up a digital footprint. Something you post online without a second thought could have immediate consequences, or it could come back to bite you years down the line. Take location sharing, for example. If I'm telling the whole world I'm on holiday, then I'm telling potential burglars that my house is empty too. And if I'm sharing my location in real time, then I'm telling everyone where they can find me, including some people that I might not be so keen to bump into. This is true for events as well. If I'm inviting people online, then I'll think about making it private. Otherwise, I could be inviting anyone. Let's look at a true story of someone who learned this the hard way.
A teenager in the Netherlands was planning her 16th birthday and wanted to have a few friends over to celebrate. She created a Facebook event for the party, but didn't make it private. And then she watched in horror as the event went viral. People she didn't even know were sharing the details, even creating websites and social media accounts to promote the party. In the end, around 3,000 people travelled to her small town for the party. It quickly spun out of control. Property was damaged and arrests were made.
It's an extreme example, but a good reminder that anyone might see what you post. Once it's online, it's out of your control. So keeping your location to yourself is a good start. But there's a bit more to minding your digital footprint. Whatever you say online reflects on you in real life, whether that be positive or negative. Let's look at another true story.
A teenager in Essex was unhappy with her job. She thought it was boring, so she decided to tell her friends about it with a short social media post. They got a little laugh out of it and she carried on. Over time, she became mates with people at work and added them as friends online. Eventually, her employer found out about the post. And even though it was fairly light criticism, people in her office were unhappy about it. And so her boss decided to let her go.
It's not just friends and followers who see what you post, so before you take your frustration online, consider what might happen if the people you're posting about see it. If you wouldn't be happy to say it to them in person, then best not to post it. And if you're worried about what others might find out about you if they look you up, then try checking on yourself. Search your name out, see what you find and where. You might be surprised at what pops up. The internet never forgets. Even on apps that automatically delete posts, it's always possible for someone to make a copy or a screenshot and share it around. And it's not just bosses who might look you up. What would a crush think if they saw they trashed an ex online? That would be a red flag if I saw it. So if you're willing to take the time to get the perfect selfie because you want to look good online, then you might want to put some thought into the words you're posting too, whether that's your opinion on music or fashion or what you think of someone at school. Once it's out there, you can't take it back.
Then your final task is your choice. So there's a link there on the screen that will take you to a list of videos, a group of videos on different topics. There's self-image, there's cyberbullying, gaming, all sorts of things. I want you to have a look at those videos and I want you to pick one Okay, so hopefully you'll all pick different ones. When you've watched that video, I want you to summarise the key points and I want you to present that to me using whatever your preferred media is. So if you would rather do a poster, you can do a poster. If you would rather handwrite or draw and take a picture and send that picture to us, that would be great. You could do a presentation like this, or a video presentation, or an audio note, or however you feel comfortable sharing. And I think it'd be really interesting to see what we get back in terms of the different people's styles. Okay, so you're going to pick one of those videos and you're going to summarise it, and hopefully we can bring all those ideas together and see what we've learned about being safe on social media. And then finally, your exit notes. This is where we summarise our learning. And I want you to think about the niece, the friend, the brother, whatever it was that you imagined last lesson. And I remember we talked about having a younger person. So let's imagine you've got an 8-year-old. From what we've learned about in this lesson, do you honestly feel that an 8-year-old is ready for a social media account? And I want you to think of all the reasons why they are. They're probably more tech savvy than I am. They probably know more than I do about how to use it. But then I also want you to think about all the reasons that they're not. And I want you to make a pros and cons list of all the reasons that you think they could be ready and all the reasons that they're not. And I want you to honestly weigh that up. The one message I will leave you with is that the age restrictions are there for a reason. So do you agree with that or not? Hope you're all staying safe, and I really look forward to seeing your work in whatever form it takes. You can email it to us, you can send it through our social media sites, or we can come and collect it when we collect your work packs. See you soon.
Digital content saturates our daily lives, for better and for worse. Digital literacy is a broad term that describes how we might use, understand and communicate through a range of digital tools, games and social media systems.
These films provide more than old-fashioned warnings. Everything from the emotional and legal consequences of naked selfies to the human cost of plagiarism, giving students a toolkit for dealing with the digital world so they can understand how to behave respectfully and appropriately.
Some students may already be suffering mental, emotional and physical harm as a result of digital activity. They need to know that they aren't alone and be supported in understanding and articulating the struggles they're facing. These films engage students with the experiences of real people, sprinkled with some really surprising facts that make great talking points for your classroom session.
The young, engaging presenters should resonate with students, and the colourful animations add visual interest and help illustrate the concepts and potential consequences of our behaviour in the digital world.
These films explore the experiences of several young people, from online bullying through to the cost of oversharing on social media.
Finally, in each film, a summary of tips helps cement the learning.
The new Relationships and Sex Education Statutory Guidance and Health Education Guidance states that digital literacy should be covered and taught to students explicitly. So having something that's up to date and accessible is really useful. These films can be used in PSHE and citizenship, but they can also be used in places like computer programming, media, anywhere where the themes of digital literacy are discussed. These films can be used in many different ways. One way might be as part of a spiral curriculum. You might show a couple of the films each year, starting with things like bullying or self-image and digital footprint for lower years, and then moving on to some of the more sensitive or controversial issues as students get older. With a film such as fake news, students can watch the first part, find out a little bit about what fake news is, then you can pause the film so that students have an opportunity to think about some top tips that they might give for spotting fake news. When they're done, you can show the rest of the film and show them what top tips come up, and then they can compare their own to the ones that are provided in the film. And this gives them an opportunity to discuss the kinds of things that they've learned and decide some of the best ways for spotting fake news for themselves. For some of the less controversial or less sensitive topics, teachers could show the films in the morning and students can discuss the kinds of issues that come up for them. The students could then go away and note through the day where those issues come up and report back in the afternoon. These are just some ideas of how to use these films in your lessons, but have a look at the films for yourselves. I'm sure you'll come up with ways of using them in your own classrooms.
Some of these videos discuss very sensitive subjects around areas such as pornography, naked selfies and online bullying. These can be difficult subjects to broach, And whilst the videos are a great tool for the lesson, it's worth brushing up on some practical tips for helping to make the lesson more of a success, such as using an anonymous question box and making a class contract. It's important to view the content first and signpost students to more resources. The films also provide an excellent way of depersonalising the content. They work in terms of distancing techniques. When the subject matter can be very close to the actual experience of the students, this gives students a way to discuss without revealing personal details about themselves or others in the classroom setting. This is especially true of some of the more sensitive topics. It's also important to remind your students where they can get additional support if they find the topic difficult, and make sure they know you're available at the end of the class as well.
We hope you find these real-life stories of some amazing young people interesting, useful, and maybe even a little surprising.
We think these films can help begin a discussion that is becoming more and more important to your students every day. And we hope that you enjoy sharing them with your classes, or even in a one-to-one session with students who need to hear that they aren't alone in the experiences they have had.